water, earth, fire, air. Long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony. Then, everything changed when the
Elemental Bow Nation
attacked.
I'm Cotton Dinosaur, and it is time for some brand spanking new bow builds. And I mean this because they use armor that has only been in the game a short time. If you want to get straight to the builds, go ahead and skip to the timestamps on the screen. If, however, you find yourself wondering why elemental bow sets, stick around. The bow is one of the highest hit frequency weapons in the game, with elemental damage tallying up not from the power of the hit, but simply adding a flat bonus to each hit individually, meaning each number that shows up is increased by elemental damage, even showing up that way on your screen. Rather than going through the playstyle for each of these sets individually, it's best to look at them as a whole, as they all strive to achieve the same goals. They all play very similarly. They're all elemental bow sets. Even if they're different elements, they all play the same. The optimal combo, in my opinion, is normal shot, normal shot, normal shot, normal shot, arc shot, dodge, normal shot, arc shot, repeat. This combo, along with being a crazy number of hits per minute, which allows maximum effectiveness from your elemental damage, also allows you the freedom of movement that bow is well known for. This is no crit draw build, and these builds aren't made to cheesily jump shot the monsters to death. Flying out of the gate with an impassioned, impossibly imposing impact comes the Dragon Element build. The choice of bow for this build is a simple cookie-cutter decision, though it may not be your first instinct. While the Val bow has the highest dragon element on a bow, the true winner here is the Devil Joe bow, Villainous Brace. The difference in raw, even in an elementally focused build, is enough to make even Spyro the Dragon blush. The skills that make this build, and indeed most of these builds as effective as they are, in no particular order, are Element Attack Up. This one somehow manages to be both simple and complicated, as the most obvious thing to do when making a build focus around an element is to try to up the damage of the element and get the most out of it. However, for those who don't know, each weapon has an elemental cap of 30% above its base. A weapon that has 100 element can only be boosted to 130 of said element, meaning that element attack up, in this case dragon, is only useful up to a certain point before the points are just wasted. That said, this is the only bow on this list that doesn't benefit from at least 3 points of element up, only needing 2, critical element. Now this is one of the most important skills in all of these builds, as it is just in all of these builds. Crit element allows the elemental hits, which are normally just flat damage, a flat number, to crit with your attacks, leading to different damage boosts depending on the weapon class you use. For bow, the boost of crit element increases the elemental damage when you crit by 35%, which is amazing if you have pretty much any crit in your build, especially as a recent addition to our armor collection allows the acquisition of crit element without making you equip really crappy armor pieces. In the dragon build, you get crit element from using hands and legs from the Azure Starlord set. Weakness Exploit. 3 points of this are pretty much mandatory for every build in the entire game that isn't crit draw based or used for big explosions on the charge blade. 50% crit is ridiculous, and on top of its regular usefulness, it helps activate crit element, which is only a good thing. It's a bonus, and it's so easily acquired from some good armor piece decisions. Normal Shots. This ability increases the damage of your regular R2 shots by 10%. Your R2 shots are where most of your damage comes from. This skill is amazing. Spread/power shots. Considered the treasured counterpart of normal shots, this increases your circle or arc shots by 10%. This is where the rest of your damage comes from. Also incredible. Bow Charge Plus. This beautiful piece of shit is the bane of every bow user, as you will never, ever get the decoration. It is, however, also the joy of anyone who does get it, as you can now charge your bow an extra level to reach approximately 10% more damage than the previous level of charge. This is most important as it allows the latter half of your combo, which is the dodgy shooty bit, which is after you build up to the highest level, you dodge around because it lets you keep your highest level. It allows that to just have 10% more damage, that entire portion of the combo. Constitution. This skill has an impressive effect on the playstyle of the bow, as it allows you to dodge and keep up the dodge portion of the combo for longer periods of time before needing to recharge your stamina. This skill allows you to use the optimal playstyle for these builds. We go for 3 points, as 5 points is nearly unattainable in an otherwise good build, and the charm slot is perfectly free to fit it in. Critical Boost. This is one of the best pure damage skills in the game. While it doesn't affect elemental damage by itself, it does still boost all of our raw attack crits, which simply amounts to more damage. We will fit as much of this skill as possible into each of these builds, though it is not the priority. As such, we managed to fit 2 ranks into this build. Attack Up. Similar to Crit Boost, this is a fantastic pure damage skill that only affects your raw attack. We will also fit as much of this in as possible. Crit Boost is going to be going into any empty level 2 or above slots, attack going into every empty 1 slot. This build happens to have 3 spare level 1 slots, getting it 3 attack up. This build also happens to pick up 2 stun resistance and 2 recovery up as pure bonus skills acquired in our quest to quench our thirst for the best dragon bow build. It just gets them as a bonus. You can't complain about free bonus skills. What monsters are even worth using this build on over a raw attack build? Well, due to using the Devil Joe bow, which is already arguably the highest damage bow already, this build is wonderful for taking down most enemies that aren't overly weak to another element. However, what it excels against are the things that are weak to dragon. For example, Rathian and Pink Rathian, Radobon, Rathalos and Sir Rathalos, Devil Joe, and theoretically Val once you break off his outer layer, though there are better elements to use against him. Basically, you want to use it against anything that starts with the letter R, or makes you yell in a way that sounds vaguely like the letter R. Arrgh! As with everything else, the main chunk of information is going to come in the first build, as most builds here are ridiculously similar. So the main disclaimer here is that every single one of these sets, at least the main sets, uses at least 1 piece of armor from the USJ event only available to Japan, or if you can get into a lobby hosted by somebody in Japan. As such, I have crafted you a list of non-USJ sets that are almost as good as the main sets, that I'll have readily available for you at the end of each section. Non-USJ Dragon is missing only 1 crit boost. Though you actually managed to gain 1 attack up as some sort of compensation, it doesn't quite equal out, but it's still very close. But you also lose the bonus stats in 2 stun resistance and 2 recovery up. Now, before I let you cool down too much, let's flare things up a notch as we hit 2 rocks together and create the Fire Element build. Now this build by far has the most interesting deliberations involved, as there are 2 exceptional choices for Fire Element bows. The Anja Arch 3 and the Wrathslinger 3 are both extremely competitive. The Anja bow, having the higher raw attack and elemental value, manages to reach blazing heights of 2189 damage over 3 of the combos before the dodgy shenanigans, so it's R2, 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 R2 circle, while the Wrathslinger, with 40% more crit and an extra 1 slot for an attack jewel, gets snuffed out at 1800 damage throughout the combo. While this isn't the most in-depth test, it did lead to the conflagrating conclusion that the Anja bow is better suited to our current needs. However, the Wrathslinger is a very close competitor. Don't get burnt out yet, though, as we are just getting started. The skills in this build are a simple reflection of those used in the Dragon Element build, the only main differences being in amounts and in the bonus skills. With the Fire build, to reach Elemental Cap, you require 4 fire attack up, leading to an overall elemental value of 510 fire attack. You get crit element from the waist and the legs. 3 weakness exploit, normal shots, power shots, bow charge plus, 3 constitution, and 3 crit boost. However, you get 0 attack up, as the cost to get the elemental cap with the Anjanath bow is too damn high. The bonus skills for this build are 2 ranks of stun resistance, free element which has no effect, and power prolonger which also has no effect. Let's talk about who the best witches are to burn at the stake. Great Jagras, Baroth when unmudded, Palumu, Valhazak, who is more perceptible to this than Dragon, and finally, Kirin, are all in danger of spontaneous combustion when put in contact with this element. Non-USJ Firebow manages to turn a few skills into smoke. This build loses 1 crit boost and replaces it with 1 attack boost. Once again, as in the last build, this isn't a huge drop off as it almost evens out, just not quite. It does, however, also lose the bonus skills and the 2 ranks of stun resistance and each of the skills that don't really affect the build. Bringing the temperature to 0 Kelvin, I present to you the icing on the cake, the Ice Element build. Choices for this bow are ridiculously simple. Kushala bow is fine, but Legiana bow is the chillest mother out there. Solidifying the power of this build are the skills. 4 frost attack jewels to reach the elemental cap, and as with the Anja bow, allowing it to get to 510 element attack with its ice power. Crit element uniquely in this build from the legs, the chest, and the helm, as this build simply benefits from 3 pieces that grant the Wrath set bonus. 3 weakness exploit, normal shots, power shots, bow charge plus, 3 constitution, only 2 crit boost, with 1 attack, and the unique position of being the only build without a single bonus skill. What monsters can you keep sliding right into the next Ice Age with this? Tsitsiyaku, no wonder he isn't the Apex with Legiana roaming around. Odogaron, Diablos and Black Diablos, Teostra, and the final phase of Call of Tarath when she doesn't have the golden cloak. Non-USJ Ice build is by far the coolest as it manages to keep every single skill that its counterpart acquires, and therefore the only reason to use the regular build over the non-USJ build is if you have the choice. The Azure Starlord guards can augment to a higher defense than Levisioth Greaves. Oh god, what's that? What's going on? It's a meltdown! A meltdown! I guess we have to move on from ice! Bringing the noise as it rumbles its way through the floor with a bang comes the Thunder Element build. Best bow here with no contest is the Flying Kadachi Strike Bow. These skills will all resonate through as you realize the revelation that all the relevant builds relay related skills. This one comes packed with, surprisingly, 3 thunder attack to reach elemental cap, crit element from the gloves and the legs of the Azure Starlord set, 3 weakness exploit, normal shots, power shots, bow charge plus, 3 constitution, 3 crit boost, and 0 attack out. There's just no damn space. But it also comes with a host of bonus skills, including 2 stun resistance, 2 recovery up, 1 useless free element, and 1 useless handicraft. What obstreperous perils await you using this thunderproof, foolproof strategy? Pookie, though who would want to hurt this face? Gerardus, when unmudded, Tsitsiyaku, twice in a row, the poor guy getting really fucked over by elements. Legiana, Dodo Gama for some reason, but also, who would want to hurt this face? Basilkis, Devil Joe, Nair Gigante, Gashala Deora, and Cole, well, she's got her gold cloak. Jesus Christ himself, apparently. And every motherfucker on this green earth. Like, what the hell, Thunder? Why do you have to be good against so many fucking things? Non-USJ Thunder loses 1 crit boost and replaces it with 2 attack up, which is arguably an even trade at that point. That's very, very close. But then it also loses out on the bonus skills and the 2 stun resist and 2 recovery up, as well as the skills that are useless in this build, and free element and handicraft, they don't really matter. One thing the USJ build loses in a non-statistical fashion is in fact the fashion itself. Why must the Rathalos chest be so fucking ugly? Not to drown out the other 4 builds, but I think it's time to precipitate our way right in to the Water Element build. Now, this is going to surprise you, but the best water bow is the only water bow, at least without freeing element, which is to say, fuck you Gerardus for being the only water monster in the game, and still sucking so hard! Sorry, that just really irritates me. I'll try to keep that in my reservoir so I can persevere and get through this. Honestly, water is only truly good for the trash monsters. What aqueducts are built within this set to propel you to the top of the food chain? 2 water attack. To not quite reach the elemental cap, the only build that you don't really want to reach the elemental cap, as the last water attack jewel is only worth 10 element, which is 1 true element, which is just not worth as much as an attack jewel. especially in this case, as you'll find out in a moment. Crit element from the legs and the helm, 3 weakness exploit, normal shots, power shots, bow charge plus, 3 constitution, 2 crit boost, and 4 attack boost. We only get 4 attack boost because we give up 1 water attack, which is, again, not the biggest deal for this specific bow, but it allows us the 4th rank of attack boost, which also gets us 5% crit bonus, which is very important. And you also get the beauty of the bonus skill of 2 ranks of stun resistance. Now, it's time to evaporate your most dangerous threats. Said threats include such incredibly dangerous monsters as Kula Yaku, anything covered in mud until the mud comes off, Tobi Kadachi, Anjanath, Great Gyros, Zora Magdaros, yay, Levisioth when soft, as in not hardened, Uragan, and technically Teostra, though ice is better against him. In case you weren't keeping count, that is pretty much 1 monster that actually matters in late game, and about 8 monsters that you will rarely see after high rank. What a fucking element. It's practically useless at the end of the game. Just what's the damn point? Non-USJ Water managed to leak out the 3rd rank of crit boost. It requires more jewels to reach the same attack up, but it does still reach 4 attack. And it actually manages to pick up 2 levels of windproof and 1 rank of power prolonger and free element, which are both useless to this build. But as you can tell, this non-USJ version, and in fact most of the non-USJ versions, are very comparable to the main versions. But they're still not the optimal versions of the build, which is why I presented both options to you. Alright everybody, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm not gonna lie, it took an extraordinary amount of effort to put all of these builds together. So if you don't like it, I'll have to kill you. Really, I will straight up murder you in your sleep if I have to. Like if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, stay sweet.